The 2K community is genuinely one of the most sad and hopeless communities I've ever seen in gaming, and they have no one to blame but themselves. Guys, it's been a little over a month since the 2K community was inspired by what the EA college football community did in getting EA to reverse the bullshit microtransactions that was planned in college football. And from what I've seen, this really did light a fire in the 2K community, and it seemed like a lot of players actually felt that change was possible for 2K. And in my opinion, while I do feel like change is possible, I'm not sure if the 2K community has what it takes to truly bring about change that they want for this game. And there are a multitude of reasons why this community is genuinely stuck where it's at. And today I really just want to share my opinion on the why. So first off, you have the 2K content creators. And the first person I want to focus on is Joe Knows. You see, Joe was the first person in the 2K community to speak out. He made a video titled 2K We Need to Talk, where he basically talks about how he was inspired by the college football community. And he also shared his opinion on 2K, the company, and how to bring about change in the community. But I just want to talk about some key things he said in this video. Joe Knows basically starts to compare the differences between the college football community and the 2K community, and how the community in 2K is numb to microtransactions.
What college football was able to do really makes you think, is it possible to do that over here on the 2K side? But a major difference over here on the 2K side is people are numb to this. This has been going on for years. People have talked about it. Creators have made videos. I've talked about VC before, and it's just something that people who play 2K are numb to. It's been this way for years and years and years, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. VC prices have gone up. The cost of making a build has gone up. The cost of clothes has gone up. Everything has become more expensive in the game.
I think one thing 2K creators have to understand and take some level of responsibility of is that these microtransactions are kind of you guys' fault. Now, I'm not saying this is all your fault, because at the end of the day, the average player spending crazy amounts of VC is also a problem. But 2K creators rarely push back against the corporation when it comes to VC. And I'm not blaming Joe for this, because I do believe that he does probably speak out, at least in the meetings or whatever he does. Although I will say Joe is still culpable, because spending a large amount of VC on the game still does influence your audience to do the exact same thing. So he's definitely not scot-free. And while Joe does admit to this, as I'll talk about further into the video, simply acknowledging that you're part of the problem to me isn't enough to actually bring about change. But I would say most of the creators actively participate in the toxicity of the microtransactions because of how much money they actually spend on the game. And by them spending an enormous amount of VC, which equals real life money, it influences their audience to do the same thing, which is obviously a problem. So further on in the video, Joe speaks about how the community asked him to speak to the devs on their behalf. And he also begins to go into how the devs don't actually control the microtransactions, and who actually does control the microtransactions.
Now, I see people telling me all the time, Joe, talk to the devs. Joe, at Community Day this year, make sure you bring this stuff up. And I'm here to tell you, I have sat in the same room as 2K devs, 2K employees, and they have listened to every single word I had to say on this topic. But the problem is, they simply do not control that side of the game. The microtransactions are controlled by the executives at Take-Two Interactive, not the 2K employees that we talk to and talk about all the time as a community. The 2K employees that we talk to as a community are not Take-Two Interactive corporate executives. They are NBA 2K employees.
Now, I like this point because people need to learn these executives' names and stop just blaming the devs for the VC problems. And I think that just goes for any gaming situation. Like 9 times out of 10, if there's like a money issue in a game, that's not the dev's choice, especially if the game is a AAA company. And to some gamers, you might already understand this, but trust me, there are so many gamers, especially casual ones, that just don't get that the devs aren't making the choices of what microtransactions are being implemented in their favorite game. I mean, guys, just look at the way Joe Knows has to speak about this subject. He has to put on kitty gloves just to talk to the 2K community, because most of these niggas seriously do not understand it. Most of these niggas still, after him explaining it in this way, are still gonna be like, fuck the devs, they need to change this shit, while actively swiping their card, giving more money to 2K and not understanding why it's hurting them. They're still gonna be like, hey devs, Can we change this? And I'm sorry, bro, most of you 2K niggas are stupid. And it's okay to just be ill-informed. Bro, you can't be smart on every subject. But the problem is most of you 2K niggas don't want to put in the effort to understand what the actual problem is. When you try to bring something to their attention, they pull the, bro, nobody care about that shit. I'll spend my money how I want to spend it. All right, well, you're going to stay in the exact same position that you're in because you want to act ignorant. And I also want to say, if you were one of these people asking Joe to talk to the devs to get them to change the prices on VC, you're going about it the wrong way. Like, obviously, I get you want to see something change, but even if you could talk to the people that matter, they would not change a single thing about your game. And that's because there is seriously only one way to bring about change in the 2K community, and that's just to stop spending money on the game. But obviously, no one wants to do that. And it's funny because Joe actually mentions this in his video about how just no one wants to stop spending money on the game, and they're incentivized to spend money. And to be fair, Joe isn't wrong in saying that eventually the 2K community is just going to spend money and they're going to cough up money because they just can't help themselves. Now, towards the end of the video, Joe decides to give his realistic solution to pushing back against 2K and bringing about the change that he wants.
Has come up, but the only realistic path on the 2K side that I see for actual change to happen is for another basketball video game to come into the market and give 2K direct competition. Take some of that market share. Start to take some of their player base away. That would be a reason where they might have to pivot their business model. Are we just expecting people to stop buying 2K as a whole when it's the only basketball video game out there worth its weight?
Yes, Joe. I genuinely believe I need to expect people to just stop playing the game. And I'm not saying you got to stop playing it forever. Bro, take up another hobby or something. Start watching more TV. I don't know, try a different game. Play the old game that you already done bought if it's really that bad. And honestly, I'm going to get into a method I think can actually work. Before I get into that, I know the 2K players aren't going to do what Joe Knows is saying. And he's right. They're not going to stop playing the game. And you can't expect them to not buy the game because they're going to buy it. And to be fair, I can understand why Joe would think a new basketball game would help bring about change. Competition in any business is a great thing and it forces companies to bring about a better product for the consumer. A big example of this is the Marvel Rivals and Overwatch situation. Both Marvel Rivals and Overwatch are both hero shooters. The older game, Overwatch, had been becoming very stagnant in its content. And while that's happening, Marvel Rivals comes out, swoops in, and is pulling stupid numbers, and this causes Overwatch to start putting out more content to compete with Marvel Rivals. And now the game is basically in the best state it's been in years. But there's one problem with this mindset, and that's, I'm not gonna lie, another basketball game is probably just not coming no time soon. And don't get me wrong, I love sports too, and I used to play 2K a lot more, but guys, I genuinely think you 2K players need to expand your horizon and see what else is out there. Or maybe, like I said earlier, just get a new hobby for a year, come back to the game next year and see if it changed at all. And this leads me back into what I was about to say. I genuinely think something that could work is if the 2K community said, all right, but we're boycotting it for a year and we're going to play the old game and we're just not going to spend no more VC. The problem with that is, though, the 2K community cannot stop spending money. So I genuinely think it has to be an all or nothing attempt, because if they're on the game at all, they are going to spend money. It doesn't matter if it's an old game or a new game. I genuinely believe they will spend money. So the only thing you could realistically do, in my opinion, and I don't even know if realistically is the right word, but the only thing you can do, just don't buy the game. Stop buying the game. And I understand that's very hard for y'all, but that's really the only option, because if you buy the game, you have to spend so much money to get a new player. So while yes, maybe playing the older game from the past year could work, I still believe people would start spending money on the old game too. But you definitely can't buy the new game and say, all right, we're just not gonna spend enough money, because people are going to spend at bare minimum $100. Guys, people are spending $100 on the deluxe edition of whatever it's called, and then they're spending $100 for VC. Nigga, they just spent $200 on this game. I want y'all to understand, no game is doing this shit. That's why they're getting so much money. They're buying the game twice, and that's the problem. Now, this isn't the end of the Joe Knows saga, because he actually made a part 2 video where he basically suggested ideas that 2K can implement to benefit the players while also not hurting 2K's bottom line. And while I genuinely do think Joe is coming from a good place, I don't think he fully grasped the situation that the 2K community is in. So let me fully explain it to you. The 2K community has zero leverage in any negotiation about changing this game. And when you're negotiating something with somebody, you have to have something that gives them a reason to budge off of how they're presenting something to you. So 2K is on top right now. They're stepping on these niggas' necks. But if the community decides we're not buying it this year, you come to the table and say, hey, 2K, this is what we want. Because at that point you hurt them. So now they're going to be like, dang, what can we do to help? The community comes in. They say, hey, 2K, we know your pocket's hurting. This is how we want the game to move next year. All right, well, we can try to do that. Let's try to meet somewhere. Now, and me personally, you shouldn't meet these niggas nowhere. If they start putting in some bullshit and just try to throw crumbs at y'all, nigga, boycott that bitch again. But we know that's not gonna happen, sadly. But regardless, Joe, you doing a video where you list out ideas on how 2K executives can help the consumer. It's really useless. I'm sorry. This type of video should have came out after you guys set up the boycott, because that's actually what needs to happen for you guys to get their attention. They could care less about putting microtransactions into the game. You're gonna buy it, you're gonna spend. Why would they help y'all out if you're gonna spend the money? If I was running 2K, nigga, I wouldn't listen to y'all either. Why am I helping y'all if y'all are spending the money? Now, I'm not an asshole, and I would like to think I wouldn't want to treat the community and the players like shit. But at the same time, bro, you got to get these suits and these executives to see you. You cannot get them to see you by just saying, all right, man, this is what I want in the game. All they see is a spreadsheet. Oh, I made this much amount of money. I made this much. Oh, shit. What the fuck these niggas talking about? Obviously, they like it. Why would I listen to this one YouTuber? I don't care how many subscribers you got. If I look at my spreadsheet and I see, damn, I made this much money. And this one dude's complaining. Obviously, he must be lying, because look how much money they're spending. They love it. Guys, at the end of the day, if 2K is still making $1 billion on this game, they're not going to budge. I used to think that maybe the 2K community could buy the game. Everybody limits their spending to, like, I don't know, under $50, and maybe it'll hurt their profit. But the problem is you cannot expect them to spend less. And if you guys think I'm being overly negative, I promise you I'm not. And I was recently watching a Black Hokage video, and this nigga pulled up a Twitter post where it just really reinforced everything that I feel about the 2K community. These niggas are stupid. Okay, so a guy on Twitter decides to pose a question to the 2K community. 2K community have a question: why do y'all accept repackaged games every year and act like no other games are made? Why are you spending close to $200 to build a My Player every year? Someone pretty prominent in the 2K community, Power, he says, I'll give you a serious answer. First, they are not just repackaged games. Those who play the game often know each 2K feels very different, especially in part. You can argue the games are bad, but calling them identical usually comes from people who play casually and do not notice. While I do agree that Power is sort of right, they're not just completely repackaged. There are gameplay differences from game to game. However, there is not enough differently in these games to justify them dropping them every year and you spending $200 on them. I don't give a fuck how different the gameplay is. Even if you want to argue, yes, there's very different metas and all type of shit that happens in these games, it still doesn't change the fact that these games are still very similar. At the end of the day, it's still just a basketball game. I'm just always amazed at how stupid these niggas can get. Literally, the next comment is, cause we like to hoop and we got money too. Fuck out the spot with this broke ass post, nigga. And this is why these niggas are stuck. Y'all niggas result to calling people broke when they just genuinely want better for y'all. He's actually wondering just why. Why do y'all keep putting yourselves through this when y'all can actually change it? Y'all have the power to change it. Y'all don't have to pay this amount of money every year, but y'all won't leave the game alone. Y'all cannot help yourselves. If you had to ask a 2K player, hey man, if you left the game for 3 months and it was guaranteed that when you came back the prices would be cheaper, I guarantee you most of them couldn't leave the game alone for 3 months. That's how bad it is. These niggas have an addiction. There's something wrong with them. But I'm gonna move on through the post. Power then goes on in his comment to say this: second, it does not cost $200 to build a My Player. You can realistically earn enough BC to build one for free. People pay because they would rather spend money than spend time grinding. So I think the overall reason that people spending the most money are not that upset about it. They know what they are buying and they are choosing convenience. I gotta call a lot of bullshit. While I'm not sure if $200 is the exact number, it's an unreasonable fucking number. I don't know if it's 200, but it's at bare minimum 100. And I think it's more than 100, I'm pretty sure. Saying you can earn enough VC to build one for free. I did the 60 overall to 99 no buying VC before. I was in high school and it was during COVID. And I was just sitting on the game, grinding my career, grinding all the little VC shit that I can do. And that shit sucked. So while yes, he might say, that's my point, like people are buying it for convenience because nobody wants to deal with that. Nigga, the grind isn't even reasonable. It's not fathomable for most of the casual people playing this game. They can't do it. No one has the fucking time. And then it's boring. Nobody wants to do that. It shouldn't take all of that just to upgrade a player. You wanna know why they make it like that? Because they want you to spend the money. It's a fucking circle. It's annoying and it shouldn't be like this. The problem is the fact that the money is so insanely high that it's just unreasonable. It shouldn't even be in the game if you really want to have a conversation. But I feel like we're so far to this point where the VC's probably just never gonna leave. And him saying most of the people that are spending the money are just not that upset about it and they know what they are buying. Yes, people do know, but just because people are getting exploited doesn't mean that you shouldn't call it out. While they are fully grown adults or children, whoever is making a purchase, it's still wrong. It's still not a good thing that they are spending this money. It's actively hurting y'all. And that's the problem that I feel like a lot of these content creators don't understand. It's like, oh man, would just let somebody spend their money how they want to spend it. Not even just content creators, but also just the 2K players. You shouldn't be okay with where y'all are at. Like, guys, I want y'all to seriously look at this shit. Mickey Facts asking dumbass questions point us to the alternative basketball option, Mickey. We just not supposed to hoop. Yes! Stop buying it! Oh my god! Do y'all have an addiction? Bro, I like basketball and football too. You can put it down. Please! This is an annoying trend. Why don't you stop worrying about the game people decide to play and what they spend their money on? Mind your own damn business. Y'all are fucked, truly. This is why you niggas are just always gonna be laughed like you niggas are idiots. This has really gotten like nasty. It's so many people defending it like, oh, it's the only game on the market. It's either play 2K or don't play a basketball game at all. Same with Madden. It gets to a point where I'm just like, there's no saving you. And now you see why I'm saying I don't think I'm being overly negative to these niggas. I've gotten in full-blown arguments with friends over this same type of fucking rhetoric and the same shit that's in this Twitter post, trying and begging them to just stop buying this game, pleading with them to try other games just for them to give me the response that there's nothing else they want to play. And it's sad because there are so many games releasing every year that my backlog is stuffed, but I gotta hear niggas tell me gaming is just bad right now because 2K is fucking them sideways and it's genuinely annoying them. I know I've been very negative and I feel like it's rightfully so. But let me say this. I don't think 2K is actually beyond saving. In this current situation, I think there has to be a big enough content creator that can actually rally the community and get them to successfully boycott this game long enough for the executives to rethink their pricing. But also because of how deep rooted the 2K community's numbness is to microtransactions, I think this fight would take a while. And to be honest, at this point, I'm very 50-50 on it. I wouldn't bet on the 2K community at all. So maybe you could say I'm not even 50-50. I'm probably higher on the side of this shit just might be fried for a long ass time. But don't get me wrong, sometimes it just takes a company pushing more and more so the community just says, all right, we're not taking no more fucking back shots. We gotta switch some shit up. Now, is the 2K community capable of actually pushing back? I truly hope so, but only time will tell. Because judging by the fact that the 2K content creators like Joe Knows and Badge Plug and Grinding and whoever else you want to talk about, they already started making 2K content on 2K27. They're already promoting the builder and the park, and the rollout has already started. So a boycott this year is definitely not happening, nor do I probably think it's happening next year. I really don't know, but I can say for this year, it's good as dead and nothing is changing. 2K community, please stand up because right now, y'all can't even be taken serious by anyone.